Hello and welcome. I'm Lauren, and today I'll be unboxing and swatching the White Nights Pastels watercolor paints and giving my impressions. So let's get started. Right, so let me just begin this video by saying that it's not sponsored by White Nights or St. Petersburg in any way, and all of the opinions expressed are my own. I already own the 36 set of White Nights regular watercolors, and I love using them in my coloring books, so I've wanted to get the pastel set for mini moons, and when I saw them on sale at AliExpress, I grabbed them up. So let's open the box. Okay, so the paints come in this plastic case, and when you open it up, in the lid you have some mixing wells. It comes with a swatch card, which is somewhat textured and perhaps watercolor paper. And then you have the paints, which are individually wrapped full pans, unlike Winsor & Newton or some of the other brands, which are half pans. So I have one here that I can show you. Get out the way. Okay, and if you compare them to the, let's try and get one out. Yes, so you can see the size difference. This is a full pan and this is a half pan. Okay, so they are full pans, which is a lot of paint. A little bit of paint goes a very long way. Anyway, so they come individually wrapped, and on the pan itself you get some information. You get the name of the color, and then you get some information on the pigment. So for example, this one is PY3, PO64, PWX, that's white, which makes it pastel. Then you get some of the opacity information, and yeah, so that's very nice. Okay, right. One interesting thing about this case is that when you open it, so let me close it again, and when you open it again, it is at a bit of an angle, which basically means that when you put water into the pan, say you spray some water on it, the paint is going to pool at the bottom of the pan, which is nice for creating washes. Okay, so I'm thinking that that is the function of that. We'll see. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to unwrap the individual paints, and then I'm going to come back and swatch. Okay, so I have unwrapped each of the individual pans. So one thing I noticed while unwrapping is that after I took the paper wrapping off, some of the paints had a little bit of a paper residue on the paint itself, but it was very easy just to scrape that off. Another thing I noticed is that these square boxes can be removed. However, they're kind of hard to remove unless you take out the individual pans, and then it's easier to remove it. So here we go. I have removed the individual pans, and then I can take out this other pan. So basically you can turn this into a palette where you put individual paints from different sets, which is a very nice thing that you can do. So let's put that all back. Yeah, let me just make sure I've got them all in the order that I decided on. You can switch and swap the order to the one that you like. Okay, another thing is that each pan has the number of the paint printed on it, so it's easy to keep them in order if you want to, and they fit in quite snugly. And another thing that I noticed is that they are filled to the brim. They have not left any space, and some of them even went over the top, which is really nice, so you get a lot of paint. I also should note that usually when I paint, I take the pan out of the case and spritz water on it and keep it separate so that my paints don't get mixed together. But a lot of people don't mind that, and they spritz water on everything and like to get it all messy, and so it's each person's individual preference. Okay, so let's talk about my swatch chart for a second. So I keep all my swatch charts in here in my folder, and I already have Yes, I already have the other set of White Nights swatched. So as you can see, I put down the name of the, you can't really see, maybe let's zoom in a little bit. I put in the name of the paint, the number of the pen, and the pigment that is in the paint itself. Okay, so what I've done is I have taken a new swatch chart, printed it out. So I print my swatches onto regular cardstock. It's a no-name brand that I get from my art store. And I do this because I use the watercolors in coloring books, which is not watercolor paper, and I want to see how the paint is going to behave on paper that's not watercolor paper. So that's very important for me, and that's why I print it out on cardstock. And I get my swatch chart from julianakanzler.com. She's a watercolor artist. She uses other mediums as well. I will link her website in the description below. Okay, so now we're going to swatch the paints. First, I'll just explain what I have here. So I have a little bottle of water, which I am going to use to put a drop or two on each pan just to get them wet. You should always do that. Put a drop of water, let the pan sit for a minute with the water so that it can seep into the pan, and then get the paint out. Another thing I have here is a Princeton Select Round number 6. I have a cup of water, and I have a cloth that I just use to wipe off excess water or excess paint. Any cloth will do. And I have my swatch chart. So as you can see, I have put the name of the the name of the paint, the number of the paint, and also the pigment numbers. If you see, each and every one has PW6, which is white, and basically any pastel paint has white in it because that is what makes the color pastel. So for example, blue would be a blue pigment plus white to make pastel blue. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a drop of water on each of the pans and let it sit. Okay, we're back. So first let me say that the paints re-wet really nicely, and you can see, however, the white that is in these pigments because it got a little bit of a cloudy color when I dropped water on it. So that's obviously the white that is in these paints. Anyway, as I said, I mainly use paints in coloring books, which is not watercolor paper. And for that reason, I do not use a lot of water on my brush. So I just take a little bit of paint. Yes, I put it down into the square. Yeah, don't worry about going outside the lines. And then I take a drop more water, wipe it off on the cloth. So let me show you. I wipe it off on the cloth, and then I spread the paint so that you can see what the paint looks like, saturated with lots of pigment. And then after you have added water, it will become a bit paler. Okay. So then I rinse off my brush. I get the next color, which is coral. Oh, this is such a gorgeous color. I put down the paint. Right, again, I rinse off my brush, wipe it off on my towel. Yeah, and then spread out the pigment so that you can see what it looks like without too much of the pigment. Okay, also with watercolor, the color always starts out dark, and then once the paint dries, it becomes lighter. And that's even more true of pastel colors, yes, because they have white in them. Okay, and again, I do not use a lot of water because yes, I work in coloring books, and so I don't want my paper to be too saturated with water. Too much water in coloring books, and the paint the water causes the paper to buckle. So we don't want too much water. Okay, in contrast, if you're using these paints on watercolor paper, then use as much water as you like, because the watercolor paper can handle it. Okay, the next color is mint, which is an absolutely gorgeous color. I can totally see myself using this color a lot. Okay, I keep rinsing off my brush and using just a little bit of water to spread out the pigment. Okay, yes, I can already see how much white is in these paints because, yeah, oh, I've skipped a color. Never mind. That's why I put my names in pencil so I can erase afterwards and make sure that I've got the right pigment names. I always do everything in pencil first. Anyway, so as I was saying, there's a lot of white in these paints because my rinse water is turning white. Okay. Yeah, this always happens to me. I always make out the swatch card and then mix up the colors and end up not having color names that match swatch names. But then I just erase and fix it up so it works out okay. Yeah, my brain works strange ways. Right, so just a little bit of water, not a lot, and you can keep, yes, wiping off on the towel. Okay, then we have peony. Oh, now I'm back on track. Okay. Right, so as you can see, it goes down quite nicely with the darker saturated pigment, and then I spread out with water to get it a bit lighter. Okay, and that way you can see how it will work with a wash, which is the lighter, and a more pigmented section. Okay, the next color is royal blue. Let's not mix up again. Okay. Okay, I rinse off. I wipe, and then I soften the pigment. Okay. Next color is celestial blue. Oh, also gorgeous colors. I love the blues and the purples. Okay, there we go. Put down, wipe, rinse, wipe, rinse, wipe. Okay, but this is fun. I love watercolor. I love the unpredictability of it. It goes wherever it wants to go, and you just have to let it. It's not a medium that can be controlled. So you just have to let it go. Yeah, let it do what it wants to do, which makes it fun, and then you get interesting effects. Yeah, oh, this is a nice color, this dune. However, it does have a mixture of quite a few pigments in it. So it's got PY42, which is a yellow, PBR6, which is a brown, PBK7, which is a black, and then PW6, which is the white. Okay, and last but not least, we have this Marengo, which is an interesting color name. Oh, it's this nice gray. I can see myself mixing these colors together as well. Let's just take some of the pigment off so that we get a nice gradient. Okay. Right, so I am now going to show you my mixing water, which, as you can see, is a milky whitish color, and that is from all the white that's in these paints. Okay, so I am now going to let this dry, and then I'll be back to discuss my thoughts. Right, so they're dry now, and as you can see, on the left we have the more saturated with pigment side, and then as we added water, so it became more pastel. And when they've got more water in them, they're quite translucent, which is very nice. So you can either have them with more pigment and more opaque, or less pigment, more water, more translucent. And one of the things I really like about these paints is that there's no chalky white residue that you get once they're dry. So sometimes with pastel paints, you can get this white residue on the top, and yeah, I don't see that on any of these paints. So that is just fabulous. I would say that the most opaque is this Marengo color. Really nice, and I'm sure that you could create even more colors by mixing some of these together. So yeah, I'm very pleased with this set, and I look forward to using them in my coloring books. So thank you so much for joining me as I unbox these paints, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.